We've been having an awesome October, and so today we decided, because the weather's so nice, let's have a barbecue. And so this afternoon I made this wooden grill scraper. Come see how I made it, and then I'll show you how it works. I started this project with an offcut from a previous project. I used an old barn beam to make a coffee table, and this piece was left over from that. This piece of wood was rough on one face and thicker than I wanted, so from the cleaner face of the wood I marked just over 3/4 of an inch all around the piece, and then got it into the vise to cut it. Sawing through a piece of wood like this with hand tools is difficult enough, but I ran into some extra obstacles. First, my bench isn't very big or heavy, and so there was a lot of movement as I began sawing. This is something I'm going to try to address in the future, but this time I just had to do my best to deal with the movement. The vise is solid enough, but the bench itself could use some more weight and stability. That was the first challenge. The second challenge was that I accidentally sawed into a nail that was hidden in this piece of wood. When I made the coffee table, I hadn't bothered to get all the nails or the pieces I wasn't using, so I didn't even check this piece for nails before I started sawing. It took me a while to realize what was happening, and by the time I realized, my saw was pretty dull, which made things more difficult going forward. Instead of removing the nail, I just cut that section off the end of the piece of wood and then got back to work resawing. It was not quick work. I started with a bigger saw, used that until I couldn't use it anymore because of the steel back, and then I switched over to my smaller Japanese saw, and then eventually I just got in there with an axe head to split the remainder of the cut. I knew I had some cleanup work to do afterwards anyway, so I was okay with a bit of a messier result. Once I had the rough piece out, I spent some time hand planing it to remove some of the obviously high spots. Next, I drew the rough shape of the scraper with a pencil. It wasn't going to be anything fancy, just a straight edge at the bottom, a handle at the top with a rounded detail transitioning between the two. I cross-cut the bottom of the scraper, then I cut straight down the lines for the handle. After that, I used the coping saw to get those rounded cuts. Once I had the rough shape, I began working down to the lines and shaping the handle in a way that I thought looked good and felt comfortable. I used a chisel at times, but my favorite tool for this part of the project was my spoke shave. I like to think of a spoke shave as a cross between a hand plane and a potato peeler, if that makes any sense. It works really well for this type of situation and does an excellent job at rounding over edges. Between the spoke shave and the chisels, the handle was really taking shape. For the scraper's bottom edge, I got out my small hand plane and used it to put angles onto the scraper. I'm shaving the edge on about a 45-degree angle, and to make sure that I don't have tear out, I dropped the back end of the plane so that there's about a 45-degree angle the other way as well. If you don't skew the plane in this both ways, you're in danger of getting tear out. I used the plane on both sides and got the angles to a place I was happy with, and then once everything was in the basic shape I wanted, I got a plane sharpened up to smooth everything out. But I found this difficult because the grain patterns in the wood were kind of mixed and didn't kind of go the way I hoped they would. So instead, to make everything smooth, I got out my palm sander and just ran over everything with a couple grits of sandpaper. Once that was done, I finished the scraper with some butcher block oil, which is totally food safe and great for these types of projects. And once that was all soaked into the wood, I was ready to give this thing a try. We are warming up the barbecue. It's been going for a little while, so I'm gonna just open it up and see what we have here. So this is my first time using this scraper. I've kind of tapered it off, you can see there. And then I'm just gonna kind of go ahead and, I guess essentially the idea is after doing this for a while, you start to get some grooves that are in there, and it's working pretty well. Anyways, I'm gonna let this heat up and then we'll get some cooking going. Well, there you have it, a simple project, but it was fun to make. Thanks for taking the time to watch this video. If you liked it, hit the like button. If you want to see more, hit subscribe. Until next time, take care.